Hey guys, so welcome back into the Shoujo-Verse. I'm your host today, Sho-chan, and with me we have Summosaa and Azayan. We're talking about classics of shoujo. We're just picking out from where we left off last time, and we're in part 2 today. So thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode.
Another good one. I want to some other ones that I think need to be mentioned, even if we're not discussing them that much, like Red River,
Yeah.
or I think the Japanese title is Anatolia Story, is super long. It kind of is one of a little bit older. I think it's
The first
80s.
isekai.
Yes, it's kind of like the mother, I think, of isekai, but it's not like these, you don't go to an otome. You go into this harsh other world and she gets like raped right off the bat. Like it's very is it shoujo or is it josei? It's marketed
Wait, does
as
she?
shoujo. Yep,
She got
does.
sexually assaulted?
Uh-huh.
I don't remember that.
And then she I think she falls in love with her rapist. Yeah, because that's a thing.
Oh no.
No, this is
Oh,
like
no.
this reminds me of like no offense, like, you know those Korean manhwas? I feel like, or Chinese manhwas, one of those. I feel like that's such a like, it's so weird to think that that's part of a trope where it's like, you have the abusive male, and then,
Also that fluffy hair. That's a pretty
it's very
characteristic.
80s.
Wait, was she really
So.
sexually assaulted? I really don't remember this.
I
Oh, no.
believe so. Or she was about to be. I think she was like crying and he stopped, maybe. My memory is a bit fuzzy, but
Okay.
it's pretty bad. And I feel like. So he's a womanizer and he just sees her and he's like, oh, you look unique and different because she's a Japanese woman in like this very non Asian world.
She goes to North Africa. She goes to Mesopotamia, right?
Yes. And so he's like, oh, you look interesting. Let me do you.
Oh, no.
But so I think that introduces a trope in shoujo, which obviously we'll talk about when we get to tropes of changing a man, specifically changing a womanizer into a good man who loves only
worst
you.
trope.
God, I hate that trope so
I
much.
hate that trope.
Because girl, he ain't gonna change.
Let's be for real. It don't
Right.
work like that, and it's just gonna leave Stockholm syndrome much. Nuh-uh. I don't know.
She
It's
she attains like power by the end. She's a powerful woman in that world. Like I think she becomes a queen or something. So
Oh, wow.
there is also this theme of women empowerment, but like the way she goes about it is very violent.
Yeah.
questionable.
It's extremely violent and it's very not empowering.
Another one I'd say like that's kind of similar to this one is Basara. Have you guys read it?
I haven't.
I personally would call it a classic, but not many people know it.
I've heard of it.
I'd say it's a lot better than Red River. I'm not gonna spoil it though. It's more of an act. The romance is very very light, versus like I say in Red River, it's kind of at the forefront, right?
I don't
But
know.
it's also like a good background like of it, since it's like one of those where she accidentally falls in love with someone she wasn't supposed to, and then it's like a very old art style.
It is. He's so triangle. The man is so
Yeah.
triangle.
But I'd say the plot is pretty good. I really enjoyed it, and I was able to reread it again. So if I can reread it, I would say it's pretty okay. Because there are some you just can't reread at all.
I don't think I mentioned Marmalade Boy, but that one is a good. It's a classic. It's award winning manga, and I think it still
All of
stands
her
up.
other works too, like that mangaka, they're all
Yes.
really good.
Another.
Cappuccino, there's I honestly can't remember.
Oh yeah, I know. I've read other stuff by her.
She has a very distinct. Not Marmalade. Oh wait, didn't Marmalade Boy have like a sequel?
Marmalade Boy Little.
Yeah,
I
I think
didn't
that's what
read
it
it.
is.
I mean, I'm just looking up at the Wikipedia because I've never actually read Marmalade Boy.
Another one similar to Marmalade Boy is Love So Life.
Yeah.
I like Love So Life, but it has that questionable age gap thing going on.
Yeah. But I mean, they don't do anything until she's like much older. Like, not even like
Still,
at
like-
18, let's get together. It's like, okay, until you like finish your life. What you want to do with your life? Let's get together.
It's still like that questionable, like falling in
Yeah.
love with a minor, even if you don't do anything. Like, how
It's
does
still like,
one fall
what's
in
wrong
love
with
with a
you?
minor?
She's 15.
Yeah,
Or no, I think she was 17,
I
right?
think she's 16, but there's like a 11-year age gap, I believe, between them.
Wow.
Yeah, he was pretty old.
I mean, I don't know.
It was still really good. Let's pretend like it was a happy life.
Let's pretend it was happy.
Since it wasn't really about them, it was more about her raising the kids.
Yeah, the kids were cute. I liked seeing the. Oh, speaking of Gakku and babysitters.
Yes,
really fun
Gakku and
shoujo.
babysitters.
Gakku and Babysitters is so cute.
It is.
Cute. Cuteness overload. Oh my
I
god.
cried in that. I'm not ashamed to say.
Aw.
You cried. Aww.
Because like he just wants like I mean his parents just like died.
Died.
What the heck?
Yeah.
I like the little short like they had a chapter where like they switched them up. Like
Yeah.
the little brother is older and the older brother is little.
Yeah. Would we consider that as a classic?
I think it will be.
Gakku and Babysitters,
It's still ongoing.
I
right?
like it, but I wouldn't say like I feel like it's easily forgettable. I hate to say it, but it kind of is.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I don't know. It's still ongoing, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Since
a lot of
although it's
things.
like it has a like there's not much going on.
I mean, yeah. There's
Like
not.
there's only so many episodes, I mean chapters you can read where it's like okay, baby does this.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
to say it doesn't really contribute anything to the genre of
The
shoujo.
genre.
It's just a fun read, but
Or maybe like it kind of does. It's like oh boys can take care of kids too. It's
Yeah,
not
that's
a
true.
female orient.
that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah. It's also with males as the lead instead. I think that's kind of interesting with it.
Very uncommon.
And he's so fluffy, right?
Yeah. He's such a pure male lead. I love
Because
that.
you don't really see like fluffy boys.
Uh huh.
There's like a very like toxic masculinity kind of
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah. The only closest thing where I've seen where it's a fluffy boy representation, there are a few actually. I say there's like only, but really there are a few. The first thing that comes into mind is more of a contemporary Nijiro Days. I don't know if y'all have read that one.
I couldn't get into it. I tried. I really just couldn't.
You know, I get that. I know some people. For me personally, I was like there from the beginning and went through the whole ride and was just like, at some point in the middle, I'm like, this feels so long. Like, they're still Anna and Natsuki are still not together. Like, how is this possible? We're 40 something chapters in.
Honestly, like that one's where you're like, what? How are they still not together? It's
Yeah.
been decades.
But I was like, what kept me going was the other ships. They were amazing. I like how it focused on the boys' friend group the whole time. Really, that's what I really loved about it. But
We could go more into contemporary like classics now, right?
Yeah,
Sure,
I
we
want
can
to
check
fire
that.
off a couple older ones that you guys might not know, but I won't get into them. Boys Over Flowers. A classic.
Yeah, that's a classic for
That's a
sure.
classic.
Yeah, and Itazura na Kiss. Both of those were made
Yeah.
into K-dramas, weirdly
Yep.
enough. Itazura na
Can you repeat
Kiss.
the last one? Sorry.
Itazura na Kiss, Mischievous Kiss.
Oh yeah.
I hate that one.
Itazura Nakis was like Will.
Ooh, I hate it. It's terrible. She falls in love with a man who's just cruel to her.
They've like kissed like 2-3 times in the entire series.
Yeah.
And it's so long.
It's dreadful. I mean, he's like.
Have you
a
read the
joke.
arc where she's in college? Like, what the heck? She becomes a nurse because he's becoming a doctor.
Yeah.
Like, well, like,
She's
how?
such a
How did she
pushover.
become a nurse?
Like, she's so useless, and like he's so mean to her, and like, I just don't understand.
He's not supportive at all.
No, it's a dreadful coupling. They're not gonna be happy.
Like, she would have been better off with that one guy who was simping for her. I forgot his name. But the guy who works at her dad's shop. Like, one of her guy friends. He was, like, I guess, a rival, not really a rival.
We all know second male lead. They got another
Second male lead.
place.
He was a second melee, but he gets paired off with some American girl who ends up there.
That's
Okay.
always what you do with your second male lead. Just pair them
Just
off
pair
with
them
an
off.
American.
Yeah, exactly.
The American also happens to have the same personality as the female lead, so...
That one makes me roll my eyes. If you want to watch a girl who's an absolute ditz get bullied by a man and then end up with him, go ahead and read it.
Like, she has to have, like... She has to be a masochist.
Right?
Oh my god, yikes.
Because like, who can endure that much like mental abuse?
Mm-hmm.
Even the little brother makes fun of her too. Like, that entire like only the parents are fairly decent. Like their kids are awful.
Ugh. But okay, so what other ones were you thinking about, Azayan, as you were listing off the classics, including Boys Over Flowers?
Gakku and Alice.
Yes, that one I'm like,
Yes.
I don't know if I'm halfway through. I'm a bit through that one, so I can't say that much about it, but I'm really enjoying what I've read so far. I'm like 60 chapters.
That one
in.
also pained me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm honestly like in this mood. It's weird because with these classics, I'm just like adding them to my list. Even though
To read.
it came out 20 years ago, I'm reading them now. Let's do it.
Gakku and Alice, it came out. I mean, it's completed, and its sequel is also completed.
Oh,
Oh, I didn't know it had
okay.
a sequel.
But what do you hope for the sequel? In the sequel, doesn't really happen.
Oh,
Oh, that's
bummer.
that's unfortunate. I guess I'm just reading the first series then, and just buy
Well,
sequel.
no. I say it's still read it, but like, when I say disappointing, there was like one plot point that happened like at the end of Gakku and Alice, and you kind of wanted to see it resolved, but unfortunately, you do not.
Heck no. Okay.
But the art is really pretty. It's still good.
I was also thinking of Fushiyuki, which is by a really famous
I have not seen
author.
it, but I've heard of it, and I heard it's pretty good.
Yeah, by Yu Watase. She was kind of all that back when I was in middle school, so like 2003, 2004, that era. She was a huge contributor. She put out a lot of stuff. Fushiyuki is an interesting one because it actually got not exactly a sequel, but like an alternate story that's happening in the same universe came out
Oh.
like 5 years later, and then yet another one where they finally completed it, I think, is going. You know what? You have to fact check me on that one. That might
Watch us
be
get
out
fact
now.
checked when like in the comments section, like, hey,
Yeah.
your opinion sucks. How dare you say this manga
That's
is
not a
awful?
fact check.
Oh, I don't. Is that even fact checking at this point? Come on, we all have different opinions here, and I think like one perfect. Unless Azayan, you want to talk more about the other classics, I feel like the contemporary classics are now where it gets a little bit
Yeah,
debatable,
yeah. I
you
think
know?
I mentioned all my kind of older 2000 classics. So
Yeah.
let's jump in. Oh, Vampire Knight, though. I do have to throw that one in there.
Oh,
Even though-
Vampire Knights is a classic, but
Ugh.
who enjoyed it?
Who enjoyed
no,
it.
thanks.
It still left a legacy, you know? I feel like there are certain titles, even if you didn't enjoy it, such as Tokyo Mew Mew, they still left some impact,
Yeah, Vampire
unfortunately.
Knight, I think, did have an impact with its vampire culture,
Yeah.
for sure. So it does earn its spot in the classics, despite what you might feel about it.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of Twilight, but I would still rather watch Twilight than Vampire Knight.
Wow, that's saying something.
I mean, she doesn't end up with her brother, so.
Yeah, more modern stuff though. I think we already mentioned Ao How to Ride, which
You know, it's interesting. I was actually looking at this one. There's a tweet about this. It's not specifically to this, but it reminds me of it, where it's like the generational differences in what is considered a classic is always interesting. So like it was a tweet. I forgot what was the first thing mentioned, but somebody's like, okay, I saw, this Japanese person, they saw this person run, and they're like, oh, is that so and so? And that so and so, I forgot what character it was, but it was like some way like 1900 sort of like early 1960s actually probably manga. And then somebody else is like, no, is that Naruto? And then someone's like, is it Nezuko? And I'm just like, that generational, what is considered that sort of Naruto run reference is like changing. And similarly with shoujo, because like so many people when they read All Heart Ride, they're like, okay, that's the peak of shoujo. That is it. That is the classic. And I find it so interesting with that one.
There's like some people who would think Pokemon is a classic, and then some people would think Digimon is a classic.
Yeah, God.
I think both are classics.
I agree.
I agree. Yeah.
I see what you're saying. I do think Ao How to Write does kind of evoke the peak of modern shoujo. It's got its, typical teen trials and tribulations of not understanding what the other person is feeling, but being too afraid to inquire about it, just kind of assuming things based off of what you get from them. And that's very just, that does feel like the peak of shoujo to me, modern shoujo.
Yeah, just misunderstandings and not knowing and not communicating. Yeah, that's literally shoujo nowadays. It's just
Yes.
misunderstandings on misunderstandings as a result of just not even thinking.
There's one I think I just want to add to
Yeah.
like one of the older classics is Glass Mask. I personally have not seen it, but it is very, very popular. It got a drama adaptation and all that. Also not completed. It's about acting. I remember that much.
Oh my god, it's literally it's from 1976 to now. It's
Not
older than-
completed.
Holy crap.
It's not completed.
But yeah, going back to All Hard Ride, I think like yeah, I definitely agree with what you said, Azayan. That's like a hallmark of modern shoujo now is like everything put in All Hard Ride. And also another thing I want to point out in that one, we could probably get into this in the tropes episode more than right now, but like the male lead, the persona of the male lead in itself.
It's very
Definitely.
like
Kind of
subdued.
Problematic male lead.
Yes, he's like subdued and doesn't communicate well, and like
Like the lone wolf.
but
or
is a
the-
good person. But like
Yeah, but is a good person, and that's what's always like that's what makes it okay.
Yeah, and it's always
too.
like, oh, he was mean to me. Oh, turns out he just doesn't communicate well. Oh, he's actually a nice person. Like, it's always
As long as I understand him, it doesn't matter if anybody else understands it. He's my person.
I don't know. I found it a little bit like I remember reading it the first time and being like, "Oh my god, I love Ko," and then recently like looking back at that, and I was like, I feel bad for Toma, the second male lead. I actually kind of feel bad for him now.
But why was he so interested in like the female lead? She wasn't like
She wasn't anything. I know. Futaba was like, I guess, but like, I feel
Like she
like
wasn't even described as being like conventionally attractive either, eh?
no, she
Yeah.
was. She was supposed to be very beautiful, but she stopped. Like she was ostracized by other girls because
so she stopped caring.
yeah,
about
she was
that.
so popular amongst the boys that the other
Oh
girls
yeah, I
started.
Yeah.
remember now.
Yeah, so then she
Like,
started
she would try to like act goofy, and then she had those two friends who turned out to talk crap
not
about her.
feminine, so that she could actually have friends.
Yeah.
Which is another thing that I
yeah.
think makes it a classic is that it has kind of all of those classic shoujo tropes of the modern shoujo, like being fake in order to fit in, of that nasty second like female villain that comes in and is like just wants the boy for herself and will do anything to get him, and
Sucks to be her. She didn't get him.
yeah, and then the second male lead that like is like just try and date me and see
God.
maybe your
See if
feelings
you can
will
like get
change.
over
They couldn't
him.
get over him.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Like
that
date
whole
me to
trope.
forget him, and then it doesn't work. So it has because it has
wonder
all of
why.
those tropes. I think it makes it a classic.
I agree with that. I also
The art was really nice too.
yeah,
I really enjoy the artwork.
the art is nice for that. I tried, reading her other works, like specifically her earlier work. Strobe Edge was another popular one that came out before, and I just couldn't get into it. And the art was a little bit even more like, I love the art in All Hard Ride. It felt a little bit more improved, but big shoujo eyes, God,
Yep.
Those like
definitely.
circle eyes.
She got a little more
porcelain doll
refined with
eyes.
How to Ride. Strobe Edge was.
I didn't like Strobe Edge just because, like, hey, if he can like get over his old girlfriend and find you, then he'll eventually get over you and find another girlfriend.
Oh, yikes! I never considered. I only read the first few chapters, granted, but
Well, he ends like because he has like a long-term girlfriend and they've been like together for a really long time too.
oh my god.
I
Yeah.
think she was like a couple years older, like 1 or 2.
Yeah, she's like a year older, and then the female lead like sways his heart, and eventually he's just like, oh well, I fell out of love with my girlfriend, so now I'm gonna be with you
Well,
now.
gotta get this new girl.
Oh,
And if he can fall out of love so easily, right? I don't know. I think he'll do the same thing for female lead of Strobe Edge.
Yeah,
She's not that remarkable either.
The other trope in like high school in shoujo is like high school kids being like, "I'll love you forever. Let's get married as soon as we graduate." And it's like, really? You
yep.
you aren't even in love. Like you're in a crush. You don't know what love is yet.
One thing I want to actually add on to that point that is a manga that doesn't do that. Actually, in my opinion, I felt like this, which was Kimi ni Todoke. I felt like the way they took love in that one was was a really mature approach, even though they're high school students. I granted I've watched the anime, read a few chapters in the manga only, but okay, seriously, what is it with that should have gotten a full adaptation? That should get a full adaptation now.
Agreed.
But anyways, that one really handled like shoujo, like that, all that in a more like, even though there are the misunderstandings and all these painful, like at first, the love rivals, all those like common tropes. You got the love rival from the girl side, you got the love rival from the boy side, but like at the same time, the way it delivered the romance, how pure was it? Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was one of my favorites too when it was new, and I think it was the purity of it. Like you just, I feel like
Sawako is
Sawako.
so precious.
Yes, I feel
Sawako,
like
protect
Sawako
her.
is who we want to be. Like I want to be that good and like that just pure
Innocent.
Yeah, like
Her innocence.
It's kind of like that's not who I am, but I aspire to be that. Like it's very easy to put yourself in her position and feel how she feels.
Yeah. She's so I love her, like, I love her as a female lead. She's somebody who develops from the beginning and like overcomes all these like inner self-doubts on like who she is and things like that, and she just emerges so nicely. And technically, like, yes, Kazahaya-kun was a part of that development, but he didn't make that development actually. It came all from her, and I just like loved watching that grow. And like Kazahaya-kun, what a supportive male lead. What a good male lead.
I think he's that
Honestly.
other common trope lead we see of like the popular boy who somehow
true.
notices the unnoticeable girl.
Okay, but like the difference.
I don't think she was that unnoticeable though. Like, come on,
Well,
everybody was scared. of her.
Yeah, everyone's scared of her.
unnoticeable, but like it's more like the girl who either no one notices or people just don't like. The girl who has no friends.
The ostracized one.
Yeah.
I want to also put out there, like, the thing with, that is right. You're right about that. I think another anime slash manga that shoujo that also attempts to do that, but really for me fell flat, was Say I Love You. Like,
Skite inayo.
yeah, I just, that was for me, for some reason, I thought that was toxic when I watched the anime and was like, okay, this was.
Okay,
No.
back when I read that one, I was just in it for like the heart pounding moments.
True. Yeah.
I wasn't paying much attention to whether it was like a healthy relationship or not.
Yeah. I mean, when I just thought the guy was a jerk, and he was like the popular one, of course, and like the girl's like the quiet one who's like nobody notices. And I felt like, because people are like, oh, you want like Kimi ni Todoke? Yeah, you should watch that one too. And I'm like, I watched it, and I was like, this was not it.
I got
Also,
bored
it was
of
kind of weird how he like did it with her friend.
Yes, very
Like,
weird.
I mean, it was obviously before their relationship, but like, I don't know.
I feel like it's realistic. It's not healthy. Like no one should idolize this story, but it is
Yeah.
realistic more so, I think.
That's true. A lot of people do end up dating their friends' exes, especially in like high school.
Right, or just like having sex but not for love.
Yeah, not for like over a couple. Like they just do it.
So that's not a classic.
Yeah, I would not
Yeah,
consider
I
Say I
wouldn't
Love
say
You.
It's quite
not a
popular.
classic.
It was quite popular, but I wouldn't call it a classic. Although I have to say,
Also, they were drawn so skinnily. I remember like one chapter where May was like, "Oh, I need to lose weight,"
I know, right?
and-
And they're like, "What are you?"
and
50
she's like, "A
pounds?"
stick. Like, what are you? What weight? There's no. There's nothing."
Yep.
I have to say
definitely.
that I really did like the art back then, and I adored her hairstyle to the point where I actually went to a salon with pictures of her on a
Oh
piece
my
of paper. I
God.
was like, "Give me this."
Oh my god, that's so funny.
was that,
I
Did
like,
it
didn't do
look like
that.
it though?
Supercuts. So they're like, "This we can't do this."
No, you went to super.
We're supercuts. Like we can't handle this very specific style. Like you're not gonna like this if we try.
But
and do
she
it.
just has like bangs and a short.
And the back is
haircut,
like
right?
yeah, the back is
Yeah.
like super weirdly layered and short.
Oh
But
really?
I loved it. Like I wanted that hair, and so yeah, I got
Dude,
all
next
my
time-
It's
hair
never
chopped
too
off.
late. Now you're an adult.
I
Maybe
should-
after the pandemic.
Yeah, next time I go out to get my haircut, I should definitely be like bring my favorite shoujo manga lead and be like,
Oh,
make
no.
my hair like this. I never thought about doing that. That's such a smart idea.
Is it smart? Or was it
I think
very
it's smart.
foolish?
People do that for they're like, hey, can I have like this type of haircut from this celebrity? I feel like, why not? You know?
Oh yeah, like bringing pictures for sure is helpful, but of a drawing is probably not the best idea.
Probably not. But yo,
Maybe you
it's...
can find like the drama, like her haircut in the drama, right?
see, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
Do-
that.
That's technically a photo. I don't know if she
Ah.
has the same hairstyle.
Yeah, I
though
don't
in
know if
the
they
show-
how close they got.
in the live action.
Or you can find any other generic live action shoujo and go with that.
Oh my gosh.
And look for that specific hairstyle.
But they all have like basically like a similar hairstyle, right? If they're like bangs and like I don't know. I don't know much about hair. I just have my hair in a bun and I'm happy with my life.
But yeah, so like, okay, so we talked a bit about, I guess, Say I Love You was a bit of a tangent from Kini Todoke. That's very pure-hearted. What other things would you guys consider as contemporary classics? Like,
Hironaka no Ryusui, or like what Daytime
Yes.
Shooting Stars?
yeah, Daytime Shooting Star. I love that one.
I personally was not a huge fan of it. I don't know. I thought it was a little boring, but I would consider it a classic just considering how like popular it was and how like I don't know. I
Second
think it was
male
kind of
lead.
revolutionary for its
I thought it was
Yeah.
like for what happened. Like especially for second male leads. She was a pioneer.
Yeah, I thought that was that stood out to me personally when I read it, and I still like that's one of the things I really loved that one actually, and I recently reread it too, and I thought what I loved about it is like, you know, we have like the problematic trope that everybody knows in most shoujo manga, sensei ex student, right? And she like, but Yamamori sensei, like the mangaka, she really like portrayed the realities of sensei's like inner self doubts and like his adulthood issues like very well to show the problematic nature of their relationship in the first place actually. So I thought that was really, you know, that's a really nuanced approach to this whole like, you know, sensei ex student, and it really exposes the faults of that. And then like then we see Mamura from the beginning, and like we're, you know, at first everybody's like in love with the sensei, everybody's like, yeah, we're shipping her with the sensei, and then at some point along the way you start to see those self-doubts manifest itself in the problems of the relationship, and then and you see Mamura and you're like, wait a second, nah, she won't make second male lead happen, she won't, and she does, and I'm like, yes, go off.
Yeah, but how he looks in the drama though, his hair.
Bro, they didn't do him justice, but I don't know if they would have been able to do it.
I love the art. Like the art is really good, and it's very.
Yamamori Mika sensei.
It has
Like it's not too realistic.
It's
too. Like
distinct.
I like how it's like it has like the classic like it has a shoujo manga feel, but it's also not like Mars where it's sort
Yup.
of so realistic.
Yeah.
I just, in the end, like, spoiler, she chooses the dude who's her own age, and like, you kind of didn't see that coming.
she
Yeah,
should.
and she made
Uh-huh.
a healthy choice, and you kind of didn't see it coming. And I like both of those.
I personally
things.
thought it was gonna
'Cause
come.
Shoujo-
I was one of those shippers.
Also, I like how her uncle like just cuts off his
Yeah.
friendship with the
Sensei,
the teacher.
you know, he was like, no, this is problematic, this is
Yeah.
wrong. Uh-uh.
And I think that it addresses age gap in a really appropriate way.
Yeah.
And like, it's not just some like, oh, fantasy, if I could do an age gap romance, I would. It's like, no, this is what it would be like in real life. And I don't know. I just
This is
also
also
appreciate that
yeah.
it wasn't predictable. Like most shoujo is.
Yeah, oh my god. I was so happy. Like, I remember reading it when it was coming out still, and like the fandom, oh my god, it was so divisive. At one point, yeah, like, I was like one of those Mamura shippers, and like, I'm like, let's go, Mamura and Suzume, yes. But so many people at
I
the
was actually
time-
one of the teacher ex student
See,
shippers.
yeah, more
Since
people
I
were on
read
the
it when I
teacher.
first I read it from the beginning, right? So like
I read it
in
from the
high
beginning,
school, so I
too.
didn't think of it like okay. I didn't think of it as problematic because I was young.
I was
right?
young too.
like,
I
in
didn't
high
think it was
school.
problematic either, but I still loved Mamura for some reason. Like, I saw it more healthy for her to be
Yeah,
with Mamura at that time.
I wanted him
for some
too.
reason.
Like for me, I like to protect myself, so I always go with like the male lead because I assume okay, she's just gonna end up with the main lead. There's
Oh, yeah.
like
I
just
was
ignore
like-
the second male lead. They're just gonna be a second male lead. There's nothing that's ever gonna happen.
I was like, it would be cool. Just I was like predicting. I'm like, you know, it would be crazy. Like, I doubt this will happen, but Mamura and her end up together, and then that last chapter came out and some people were upset, and I was like, yo, it was like winning a sports game when you're like, the team I rooted for. Yes.
I'm surprised there hasn't been an anime yet.
I know, and there was what was it? There was a J-drama for it, though? Not drama, sorry, live-action movie, and I was like, bruh, you could have made a whole anime out of this
Right.
one, actually.
Since the art style is really good, it would have been
Yeah.
it's completed now, so
It would have been interesting to see as an anime, because most of, like, the art style I would still say is rather it's pretty. I don't know if it's necessarily anime-esque, though, but
It would make a really good anime.
another classic, I'd say modern shoujo is Kami-sama Kiss.
Yes.
I'm not saying that because it's my favorite manga, but
No,
I
that's a
still
good
need to
one.
read it, but I've heard so much hype on that one. I want to read it so badly.
it's one of those fantasy where it's like, okay, this is pretty good.
Speaking of age gaps,
I would say Akatsuki no Yona is a lot better. I'd say like developmental wise.
character development wise,
But I really liked Kami-sama Kiss.
yeah, no, it's definitely a
Also,
classic.
it has an anime, so and the anime is pretty good.
I'm gonna watch the anime then.
It's a classic, but I think you're right. I think Akatsuki no Yona does it better.
It's more political
Yes.
too, Akatsuki no
it
Yona.
covers more.
I think that makes it a lot better.
Kami-sama Kiss is more of like, it's more youthful and it's more comedy.
More fluffy. It's not too like deep. It's just like something nice to read that also kind of sticks
Yeah.
with you.
It's got
Yeah.
a grouchy ML who like eventually opens up his heart.
Yeah, and he works so hard too to like work like for everything to work out between them. It's not like just her
That's so
on one. Like
sweet.
I feel like with a lot of fantasy shoujo, right? It's always like the female lead working her hardest, trying to make it work between the male lead and the female lead, right?
Yeah.
You don't really see it on both sides.
I think that he does all of the work. Like she doesn't do hardly any.
Yeah, he does.
That's so cool. I really want to check that out now. Gosh.
The anime music is amazing. The openings, all of it.
Definitely then. Oh my gosh. I like
I'd
reading.
say it's my favorite opening.
I enjoyed the opening too. Speaking of live actions, we mentioned Oran earlier, and Oran has a live action that is the most garbage thing I've ever seen. Please watch it just to enjoy how bad it is.
Oh my god.
I want to do my impression of Tamaki from the show. Haruhi!
Oh my god.
All
Oh,
of the time
cringe.
he does that, and he like the like CGI
He's an adult too.
like
know.
blushing that they added on is just so embarrassing, and like he like flies into a wall because he's so blown away by like Haruhi's attractiveness.
Oh my
no.
god.
Yeah, it's-
I feel like it's interesting because like I feel like this is where I find it's sort of me trying to watch webtoon to K-drama adaptations. They really like try to stick to the original medium in which it was made, and the problem with that is it's like sometimes, like, for example, Art High School Host Club and how dramatic it is in the manga / anime and its effects just don't come off right in a live action setting.
No.
Like Tamaki screaming Haruhi all the time in the anime, like
Well, also,
that's
like-
fine in the anime, but different in the
Like,
drama.
why are you doing it at the top of your lungs? Like, Tamaki in the manga wasn't doing that. So I don't know where that
God.
came from. Anyway, watch that for a good time. If there's something that you just want to rip apart.
Rip apart.
I don't think we've mentioned Ore Monogatari yet, my love story.
Ooh.
This one is a great one because it turns the classic shoujo on its head. There's
Because you think it's gonna be like the friend who's the male lead, and then
Uh-huh.
it's been like, nope.
Yeah, you don't have
Nope.
an Ikemen Bishonen guy as the male lead. And it's just, yeah, I love that it gives you this really cute fluffy shoujo without and comedy, but it does give you the romance too.
Yeah. I was like, I still need to watch it all / read it. I know, like some of these shoujo, I'm like, I like watching the anime first and then reading it or getting to the manga. And this is one of those that it looked pretty in the anime, so I kind of want to just like the colors at least. So I'm just like, I want to watch this. I watched the first few episodes and was like, on the edge of my chair, like laughing and also being like, "Oh, this is so fluffy. This is so sweet. Oh my god."
Yeah, and like not only is the ML not an ikemen or bishonen, he's super pure. Like he's not like any other all other ML are like flawed in some way, and he just has like no flaw. He's just super pure and like kind and thoughtful, like so not selfish. It's just like it's such a refreshing.
And the female lead genuinely likes him too. It's not like
It's just such a refreshing difference from your standard shoujo.
I think because like we got a lot of tropes later, right? Where like you have usually you have like a conventionally attractive male lead and not so attractive female lead.
Or just
but
like
I'd say like there's a lot of
one who hasn't realized her potential to be attractive.
Oh no, I was just gonna add on like there's a lot of I'd say there's a newer trope where like the male lead is not as attractive as the female lead.
Like which ones
about
would
it.
you say fit that?
There's that one with the flower boy. I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
Are you talking about the recent one that's coming out? Like, what's it called? A Sign of Affection?
No. 1 second. Let me try to find it. But basically, the male lead is a flower boy. Like, he works at a flower shop. And
Oh,
the female lead is
Kawaii
very
Hito?
pretty.
Yeah, Kawaii Hito, right?
Yeah, Kawaii Hito.
I
that's the
love that
I'm
one.
thinking
That was so cute. I was just like that. You know, when you're in a depressing quarter at school and you decide to read something as pure as that, you're just like, I feel good now.
of. Would you say Kawaii Hito is also a classic?
I don't think it's a classic. I just think it's cute.
It's really, yeah.
It's cute, but not a classic, I would say.
But I feel like there's a lot, just a newer, like, normally you always see, like, the pretty girl and the not attractive male lead in, like, say, shonen, because obviously.
That's
Like,
such a
they put
shonen
themselves-
thing. Oh my god.
Yeah. Or like
Seinen
I don't
slash
really see it
shonen.
with shoujo
Yeah.
at all.
yeah, I think that there's you know, there's the ones where the female lead is just not attractive at all, and the popular good-looking guy somehow notices the girl, because what is shoujo? It's a fantasy. It's for us to be able to live our dreams of romance, you know. If
Yeah.
you're reading it,
Idealized romance.
yeah, or like somebody who is attractive, but like for some reason no one has noticed that they're attractive before, is typically what you get for your female leads.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much the dude is always attractive. And I don't blame shoujo for that, because I
is a
think most of
fantasy,
us
like you said.
want to envision ourselves as the female and have that romance with the attractive man.
I mean, like, honestly, I feel like that could also be said for guys who like things like Nichijou, or I mean, sorry, Nichijou, no, wrong thing. Like Nisekoi, or what's it called? Rent a Girlfriend.
Any
that one.
harem one.
Yeah, any
Okay,
harem.
but like harem tropes are kind of a little bit questionable when it comes to.
Yeah, the problem with harem is that the guy like literally didn't do anything to
I know,
to
he's
receive
literally
love.
a normal
He's
guy.
just like, I'm an average Joe, and I literally wasn't mean to you, so you love me.
Harem. Oh, but we also see like reverse harems too.
Sometimes, yeah.
No, I'd say there's a lot of reverse harems.
There are, like, Utano
But,
Pin-sama is what I think of first when I think of a...
Hanakimi is also
yeah.
technically a reverse
Hanakimi.
harem. There's a lot of
yeah.
them.
I wasn't as big a fan of
Cordo,
Hanakimi.
like Cordo Oro, I think that's the name of it. La Corda d'Oro. Oh wow, it was released in 2003. Is this the first otome?
Is this the first otome? History of shoujo. We should have a history of otome too. God.
Honestly, I can't do that episode. I have no idea about it.
I have no idea of otome, but I think that would be an interesting one too. But yes. Anyway, so
First otome was in 1994.
God. Love that.
Anyway, I think to conclude, I just want to recommend a current ongoing webtoon called The Abandoned Empress. I'm raving about it all the time. I'm sure these guys are tired of hearing about it. Every time there's a new chapter, I'm like screaming, "Oh my god, who read it?" So anyway, that one's just I can't say that it's really unique or original necessarily. It's an isekai kind of from the perspective of somebody who isn't the one who travels to another world, who is already there. But, you know, it's still also one of those isekais from the perspective of the air quotes villainess. She's not really the villainess. And she doesn't inhabit a body that, like, wasn't originally hers. But she does kind of get a chance to do over. So, I just think that it's got... You know what? I'm going to say it. The main reason I read it is because the dresses are super beautiful. They're just so creative. Like, every panel, she's got a new dress on, and it's like, I just love all of the dresses so much. That's like half the reason I read it is the dresses. So if you love beautiful clothes, you will love this one. But also, I just enjoy watching her. It's really dramatic, but it's not. It's like in a good way. It's not like soap opera dramatic. Maybe it is. It's like a soap opera that I recommend. Okay, that's my piece.
I would also like to recommend something, since we're on that route.
Okay.
I would like to recommend Spy X Family. It's not technically a shoujo, but I love it. I'm really enjoying it right now. I would highly recommend it. Hopefully by the time whenever this episode comes out, there's a lot more chapters out there for everybody to read. And maybe there's an anime? I don't know. It's very anime material, though, I think.
Yeah, it's a shonen. I really want to read this one too. I've heard a lot of great stuff about it, and it just reminds me of a little bit of a shoujo in some parts of it. Anyway.
It's very wholesome.
Yeah, I'm all about that. But yeah, this was a great episode talking about our classics of shoujo. This was awesome.
Woo.
You know, love that we got through so many series today. But oh my gosh, what an extensive podcast for episode today.
Yeah, I hope your list is super long now. On your
oh my god.
Stay tuned for our next episode about insert topic here.
Yeah.
Please subscribe down below, and we hope to see you next time.
Yeah, thanks for joining us into the Shoujo-Verse.
Peace.
Whoosh.
Hey guys, follow us on Twitter at the Shoujo-Verse. TheShoujoverse. Thank you.